Russia has aggressively built up its fleet of ships cruising Arctic waters, while the U.S. has fallen far behind. Representative Duncan Hunter, Republican California, is now urging Trump to counter that influence by funding additional so-called icebreakers for the U.S. Coast Guard, as well as drones to help the U.S. patrol. In a February 21 letter to the White House, the chairman of the House Subcommittee on Coast Guard and Maritime Transportation argued the U.S. needs to project power in the region, and not let Russia roam unmatched. Not only have we not built a new icebreaker since the late 1970s, the Coast Guard is being forced to order parts online and cannibalize older vessels to maintain a minimum level of operability, just to operate a single heavy icebreaker, he said. Currently, the U.S. has 2 ice-breaking ships, only one is operational. Russia boasts more than 40, with 11 others in the pipeline, including what would be the largest ever such vessel constructed. It is aptly named Leader. The rush to construct new vessels follows the expansive thaw of Arctic ice, which has enabled countries like Russia and China to break new passageways through those waters. During a 2015 visit to the Arctic, former President Barack Obama called for the U.S. to expand its fleet. He reasoned that the U.S. risked losing control of shipping routes and fishing grounds if it didn't keep up with the competition. About 40% of the world's oil and natural gas reserve also lies under the Arctic. With so much at stake, Russia has re-established Soviet-style military bases across the Arctic. It's also begun building a string of search and rescue stations along its Arctic shores. In June, Russia launched its biggest icebreaker to date. Named Arctica, the 567-foot vessel is unmatched in raw power and can smash a path through the ice of the Northern Sea route. The mammoth, 33,000-ton ship is easily the world's largest nuclear-powered icebreaker. There are no icebreakers equivalent to Arctica anywhere in the world, Sergei Kirilenko, former Rosatom State Atomic Energy Corporation CEO, said in unveiling the ship last fall. Duncan agrees and says such a disparity should be of tremendous concern. Russia is not just exceeding the U.S. in icebreaker production and Arctic presence, they're in a class by themselves and setting a standard, supported by enhanced capability, that is unmatched, the lawmaker wrote. We must act with the same sense of urgency. The pressure on the Trump administration to counter Russia's influence here marks the latest test of how far the new president may go in provoking Vladimir Putin, with whom he's sought warmer ties. Trump's approach has drawn bipartisan criticism and skepticism, as Russia continues to needle the U.S., mostly recently by sending a spy ship off the coast of Norfolk, Virginia. Earlier this month, Senator Dan Sullivan, Republican Alaska, a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, also pushed the Pentagon to renew its efforts to boost U.S. influence in the Arctic. "We're late to the game," Sullivan told the Washington Free Beacon. Hunter specifically wants funding for 6 more U.S. icebreakers, as the Coast Guard starts planning. On Wednesday, the Coast Guard announced it awarded 5 contracts worth about $20 million to study heavy polar icebreaker design and analysis. The Coast Guard says it wants to expedite design for a new class of ships to be delivered between 2023 and 2026. The design studies would be completed over the next year, while the contract for the first vessel is expected to be awarded in the third quarter of fiscal year 2019. Our nation has an urgent need for heavy polar icebreaking capability, Rear Admiral Michael Haycock, the Coast Guard's Director of Acquisition Programs, said Wednesday. They want to exceed the Arctica's power, a tall task. Arctica can break ice up to 2.9 meters, 9.5 feet, thick and reach speeds of 22 knots. It's fitted with a hangar capable of accommodating 2 choppers, one for ice reconnaissance and another for transportation. The Arctica was also built to be armed in wartime. Arctica might be mammoth in size, but it doesn't hold a candle to Russia's newest design. Named Leader, the supership will be unveiled in 2019 and is 3 times the size of Arctica.